This is Katie Needell,
and Emily Gambro,
and we are going to be talking about Colonial North Carolina. In 1524, explorer Giovanni di Vernazzo was the first European to explore the Atlantic coast of North America. He explored between Florida and New Brunswick, including the New York Bay and Narcissus Bay. Then, in 1540, Hernando de Soto, a Spanish explorer, led the first European expedition deep into the territory of the modern-day United States. This included Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and most likely Arkansas. And he was the first documented European to have crossed the Mississippi River. Then, in 1584, Sir Walter Raleigh was granted a charter by Queen Elizabeth I to establish a colony in the New World. This would be the first European colony. On April 27, 1584, Raleigh sent out an expedition to the New World. Raleigh, however, was not leading the expedition. And when they returned with information about the area, Raleigh decided to send another group led by Sir Richard Grenville. They landed in Roanoke Island and started a colony there. Grenville then left the colony to head back to England to get supplies. When Grenville was gone, the colony was attacked by native settlers. This unnerved many settlers. Then, before Grenville returned, another explorer, Sir Francis Drake, passed the colony and offered to take the colonists back to England. They accepted and brought back to England tobacco, maize, and potatoes. Shortly after they left, Grenville returned to Roanoke and left a few men there to protect the claim. Then, in 1587, Raleigh dispatched a new group of 115 colonists to establish a colony on Chesapeake Bay. They were led by John White. They were told to go to Roanoke first and to get Grenville's men, but when they got there, all they found was a skeleton. Simon Ferdinandez told the colonists that instead of going to Chesapeake Bay, they would remain in Roanoke. Shortly after arriving, a man was attacked and killed by the natives. The colonists feared for their lives, so they convinced White to return to England to ask for help. White left behind 115 colonists, including Virginia Dare, who was the first English child born in America. White was not able to return until 1590. He was delayed for 3 years due to many factors, including the Anglo-Spanish War. When he finally arrived, there was no sign of any of the colonists. There was also no sign of a battle or struggle, and the site had been dismantled, meaning they didn't leave in a hurry. The only clue was the word Croatan carved into a fence post, and the word crow carved into a tree. This didn't concern White because there was no cross carved into a tree, which is what White had told them to do if they were in trouble. White thought they had relocated to Croatan Island, now known as Hatteras Island. White couldn't look for them because a storm was coming and his crew refused to look for them. They left the next day. They never knew what happened to the colonists because Sir Walter Raleigh did not send anybody to find them until 1612, and by the time he got there, there was no signs of the colonists, even though there are many different theories about what happened to them. This colony became known as the Lost Colony. Then, in 1663, King Charles II assigned Carolina's territory to 8 court favorites, and they became true and absolute lord proprietors. Then, in 1705, European settlement near the Pamlico River in the 1690s led to the founding of Bath, North Carolina's first town, in 1705. By 1708, Bath had 50 people and 12 houses. It soon became North Carolina's first port. Political rivalries, Indian wars, and piracy marked its early years. In 1711, yellow fever and a drought affected the people of Bath. Then, in 1712, North Carolina was made a separate colony, and the term North Carolina was in common use. The Tuscarora War was fought in North Carolina during the autumn of 1711 until February 1715 between the British, Dutch, and German settlers and the Tuscarora Native Americans. The Europeans enlisted the Yamasee and Cherokee as Indian allies against the Tuscarora, who had several allies themselves. This was considered the bloodiest colonial war in North Carolina. Defeated, the Tuscarora signed a treaty with colonial officials in 1718 and settled on a reserved tract of land in what became Bertie County. Then, in 1729 through 1728, the dividing line was decided between North Carolina and Virginia, and the land was surveyed. North Carolina became a Royal English colony in 1729 after the dividing line was created. Then, in 1776, North Carolina was the first state to vote for independence from Great Britain. In July 1776, North Carolina became a part of the United States of America. Then in 1787, the United States Constitution was drafted, but it was controversial in North Carolina. The northeastern part of the state supported the Constitution and threatened to secede if the other part of the state did not agree to the Constitution. The other part of North Carolina did not agree with it until the Bill of Rights was added. A ratifying convention was held in Fayetteville in November 1789, and on November 21st, North Carolina came to an agreement and became the 12th state to ratify the U.S. Constitution.